Cowboys Pregame Live is brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys, and by SWBC Mortgage. Join the more than 120,000 customers that we've helped to find their happier way home. Visit swbcmortgage.com to find a pro today.
A look at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. It is week number 9 of the NFL season. The last 2 times the Dallas Cowboys have taken on the Atlanta Falcons, they've defeated them with at least 40 points on the board. But here in 2024, 40 points seems like a dream for the Cowboys offense. We'll see what they can do going into this matchup, looking for their 4th straight win against the Atlanta Falcons, as we welcome you in to Cowboys Pregame Live, presented by WinStar World Casino and Resort. We've got Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback. We've got Nate Newton as well. Nicole Hutchison and Nick Eatman will soon be joining us as well. Glad you're with us. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Gentlemen, like I said, the offense trying to find their rhythm again. Cowboys have fallen to 3-4 with 2 straight losses. These past couple of weeks haven't been pretty, but they've got a chance to get right today and put all of that behind them.
Yes, Kyle. To me, this is a must-win game for the Dallas Cowboys. However you want to slice it, whether it's standings, momentum going for the rest of the season, or confidence in that locker room, they have got to walk away from Atlanta with a W. Because trust me, I've been a part of teams that had 3 straight L's. It can tarnish the confidence of a locker room going forward.
Yeah, Barry's absolutely correct. The reality is these guys have to win this game, right? So it is a must-win, but it's how they go about the win that also matters. These guys are in need of figuring out who they are. What is the ethos of this team? Who are they? What's their identity? I don't think they know to date. Offensively, they're at the bottom of the league. Defensively, they're at the bottom of the league. Somebody has to give. Something has to step forward and become dominant in some aspects so that you can rely on it no matter who your opponent is.
Number 1, no turnovers. Number 2, time of possession. Number 3, find a way to run the ball. Keep their offense off the field, and you will have success today.
No doubt about it, and it all kind of starts up front with Dak Prescott. He hasn't been great these last few weeks. Chance to get back on track. Here's what he looks like throughout the season. These are his ranks throughout his 9 seasons in the NFL. Lots of these numbers not where he wants them to be. Isaiah, I'll start with you on this one. What's to blame for Dak's slow start to the 2024 season?
Absolutely everything that's in regards to offense.
Oh,
everything from the play calling has been very sedentary. The offensive line has not been good in the run or the pass game. A lot of people are going to point to the running backs. That running back room, it really doesn't have much to do with them. Most running backs in this league are capable of running the ball when they have the lanes. So I think a lot of it starts with that up front, and then you think about the aspect that him and his receiver, CeeDee Lamb, have not been on one accord primarily. Even though they still remain at the top of the league, these are not the numbers that we're used to them seeing. There's plenty of times where there's been miscommunication, and because of that miscommunication, it's resulted in turnovers, and there's a lot of sacks as well. He's thrown off his back leg. He's not trusting. So a lot of things are contributing to their lack of success offensively, but I have to say that it starts up front at the offensive line.
Yeah, with me, when it comes to Dak Prescott, it's all about decision making. I mean, you cannot compound the issues that you have offensively by turning the football over. If you look at it, the past 3 games, this man has thrown 6 interceptions out there. He's on pace right now to break his season worst interceptions when he threw 15 back in 2022. And back then, he was coming off a hand injury, he was trying to press a lot, but I see a lot of those same situations happening this season. You can't compound the issue by throwing interceptions when your defense isn't playing as well as it has been, your offense isn't producing the way it has been. You can't make matters worse by turning the football over, and that's exactly what we've seen from Mr. Prescott so far this season.
By the offensive line being a little bit out of sync right now, you have to be a better run team. You have to be more in control of what you're trying to do. We've got to move Dak around a little bit. He's taking a lot of hits. And when you see something, believe it, throw it to it, and you will have a little bit of success.
On the other side, Kirk Cousins has been believing it quite a bit recently. He's been playing some really good football over the last 4 games, 10 touchdowns, just 3 interceptions, top 5 in all of these different categories across the NFL. And really, it's the weapons around Kirk Cousins, but he hasn't been great against the Cowboys traditionally, Barry. You've intercepted Kirk Cousins before, so I'll start with you.
This is true.
What has he been doing better this year than he has in the past?
Well, to me, what he's been doing better is getting everyone involved. And when I talk about his playmakers, you got Kyle Pitts, you got London, all those guys out there. All 4 of his top play catchers have at least 29 receptions. That means everybody's eating for the Atlanta Falcons out there. And as a former defender and as a defense, it makes it that much harder because you can't focus on one guy to take away. You look at Drake London, let's take this guy away. All right, well, they got Kyle Pitts over here. They got Ray McLeod over here. They have too many options out there, and Kirk Cousins is doing a great job of making sure everybody is eating for the Atlanta Falcons.
They gave him absolutely everything that you need to make a doggone meal.
Yeah,
everything that you need to make a meal. Okay, that boy got the grease, he got the pan, he got the spatula, he got everything. The offensive line is absolute dogs. These guys are amazing up front. 4 first-round offensive linemen up front, protecting him up there. Kyle Pitts at the tight end position, one of the most physically imposing, capable, versatile tight ends in the league. Running back room is solid. I'm not even going to just talk about the main running back. Their running back room is solid. And then you have weapons that can take you over the top, and they're possession guys. That is everything that you need as a quarterback, and they're keeping him upright.
We're going to talk more in depth about those weapons as we go along here on Cowboys Pregame Live. But when we come back, of course, Trayvon Diggs is one of the guys that is tasked with slowing down that Atlanta offense. It was a question whether or not he'd be available. He looks to be available for the Cowboys today. Not the same thing can be said on the offensive side of the football as Ezekiel Elliott, a healthy scratch for the first time in his career. He is left behind, not available. What does that do for the running back room for the Dallas Cowboys? We talk about it next with more Cowboys Pregame Live right after this.
This is a must win.
Yeah. I mean, hell, to me, every game is, but obviously, I mean, I get 3 and 4. As I've said, a lot of seasons left, but the first start to be able to say that confidently is getting back even, especially having a couple of home ones after that. Yeah.
The interceptions haven't piled up on you very often in your career. When they do, what does it do to your mindset? Does it change anything? Does it make you not want to push too hard, put too much pressure on yourself? How do you look at it?
I've got to be better. Simple as that. Take it for how it is. Look at those plays independently. Look at the other ones that, probably could have been or you know what I mean, could have turned out a different way than they did. But you're never going to knock my confidence. Some of it, majority of it is decision. So, I go back and I guess a couple years ago and I risk versus reward. And that's something that, just watching the film this week is just heavy on my mind. And I think from that comes, being able to, as I've said, get out of the pocket, make other plays happen when you're weighing that risk. It's when I've got the ball in my hands, it's not just about that play. It's about the team, the game, the momentum of it, and I've just got to be better.
This segment is brought to you by Ashley, the official furniture store of the Dallas Cowboys.
Cowboys Falcons at noon on Fox. Let's go out to Mercedes-Benz Stadium and check in on the sidelines with our very own Nick Eatman. Nick, there's a lot of question marks around the health of this football team. One kind of popping up in the middle of the week with Trayvon Diggs. Of course, the storyline was at the end of the game last week. It shifts to practice and how he missed practice in the middle of the week. What is his availability moving forward against this Atlanta offense?
Well, he's definitely going to be, playing in this game. Now, how effective he will be is going to, we'll find out as the game goes on. But, with the calf injury like that, it's kind of a lingering thing. And, I can speak from experience on this one that it's one where you can walk around and feel fine. But as soon as you start to run, cut, and things like that, he's going to have some discomfort. They've tried to kind of keep him off his feet a little bit, so that was part of the not practicing this week. But he's going to be out there. Obviously, Kalen Carson is also available in this game too. But I do think that the Cowboys are excited about the fact that they're starting to get a little bit healthier at corner. Deron Bland next week, but they really want to see Diggs and Bland together. Not going to happen this week, but I do think Diggs is going to be able to play. We'll see how effective he is.
Yeah, still missing 2 All-Pros on the defensive side of the football with Bland, like you mentioned, and then, of course, Micah Parsons unavailable this week as well. How do the Cowboys get pressure on Kirk Cousins in a matchup like this where it's imperative to try and force him into a takeaway or 2?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. You have to do that. Nobody has fumbled the ball more than Kirk Cousins has in the last 10 years, 90-something fumbles. He's got 6 this year, which tied for the league. So he'll fumble the ball if you can get to him. How do they create pressure? Great question there, Kyle. I wish I knew. I mean, it can't just be with the 4 guys that they have up front. We've seen that. That just doesn't work. Golston, Lawson, those guys aren't the ones that are just going to be getting off the edge that quickly. We saw at the end of the game last week, Overshown on a blitz. So I think there has to be some corner blitzes, some blitzes like that, different linebackers, different packages, stunts. They're going to have to do everything they can to kind of trick it up and get to Kirk Cousins as quickly as they can.
Now flipping the focus to the offensive side of the football, Ezekiel Elliott not available today, inactive, did not make the trip to Atlanta. What do we know about Ezekiel Elliott's inactivity and the fact that they've kind of made some moves over these last few weeks at the running back position?
Yeah, I think this was one of those things, just kind of a culmination of a few things that was building up to this point. You got to remember, the Cowboys take 17 players on the practice squad to the game. So, and we know is the like they held.
Of course, you can see we had some technical difficulties there at the end with Nick Eatman. We'll catch up with him later in the show. But let's take a look at the inactive list, because Ezekiel Elliott, of course, is one of those guys that is on the list today, along with Micah and then Deron Bland. We've mentioned all 3 of those names. That's the storyline, is Ezekiel Elliott, though. Running back, of course, who has done so many things for this franchise. He's continued to be a part of the franchise even after last year with New England. Isaiah, when you look at the factor around Zeke, and they said it was disciplinary reasons, that's the report out there. What can you say about this decision moving forward?
I think it's surprising that it came in a form of disciplinary action. I think when I thought about Ezekiel Elliott coming back to the Dallas Cowboys, I always thought that it was a play to make sure that he was with his best friend, Dak Prescott, to ensure that the contract got done. That was always my sentiments towards it. And that as the season went along, he would get faded out. And that's kind of what's happened, right? The contract got done. Zeke hasn't been as productive as people hoped for, and now he's kind of getting faded to the back. The fact that this is a disciplinary movement by them is kind of telling to the situation that he finds himself in. I think he might have expected himself to have more of an impact, but he didn't. So now all of a sudden, other guys are having opportunities.
Yeah, to me, I just see a guy right now who's frustrated in his role. I mean, of course, before coming here, I thought he would have a role as maybe a short yardage, goal line type of back. We've seen those carries go to Lipke, so we see a guy that's frustrated, and it's frustrating to starting to boil over, and now he's not traveling with the team.
Unacceptable. The coach, the ownership, team has been loyal to you. We need you as a leader. Unacceptable.
Yeah, it hasn't necessarily panned out for Ezekiel Elliott in his return to the Dallas Cowboys. When we come back, we're going to talk about the hope that Dallas has defensively to try and slow down one Bijan Robinson. He's currently 4th in the NFL in terms of scrimmage yards. He's another challenge for this Dallas defense. More to come with Cowboys Pregame Live right after this.
This segment was brought to you by Ashley, the official furniture store of the Dallas Cowboys.
Where have you grown and where do you still need to grow in your position, what you need?
I think it's a constant improvement of everywhere. Honestly, every day I'm trying to get better at everything. You know, sometimes I try to focus in on certain things or certain plays, but as a whole, I try to get better at everything. And I still have everything in the world to work on. I'm not polished up yet. I'm still working.
In terms of your adjustment, has it been more of an adjustment to the NFL speed or from right tackle to left tackle?
I think it's all of it as a whole. You know, playing on this level is different, and also switching sides is different. But my team puts me in the best position possible to be the best player I am.
What's the challenge in balancing the self-accountability and knowing where you need to grow and working on that without being too hard on yourself and understanding that there have been some positives you put on tape as well?
I mean, you got to be hard on yourself. You want to be great, you got to be hard on yourself. You got to be your biggest critic. You know what I'm saying? You got to want it more than anybody else wants it for you. So I don't really know if there's a line. It's just about how much you can take as a person.
Closed captioning is brought to you by the Texas Lottery. Cowboys scratch tickets from the Texas Lottery are here. Play today.
So far this season, the Dallas Cowboys have faced Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara in the Detroit backfield, all three of which having success against the Dallas front seven. The same might be the case for Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier, two of the better duos in all of football in terms of the running back position. You got to see Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery for that Detroit team earlier. This is kind of Detroit Junior Barry in the fact that they know how to run the football. What's the challenge for this front seven to get the job done today?
Well, it's going to be an extreme challenge, especially when you talk about Bijan Robinson. I mean, this is a guy who's a threat, whether it's running the football with, in between the tackles. He has the speed to be able to take it outside the tackles, and he's a threat in the receiving game as well. But what scares me the most about this guy is his ability to make guys miss in the open field. 44 forced missed tackles from Bijan Robinson. We've already seen this Dallas Cowboys defense is not the greatest when you talk about tackling in the open field or yards after contact. They're one of the worst in the National Football League, and Atlanta does a great job of scheming their playmakers to get the ball in the open field. This will be a huge task for the second level of this Dallas Cowboys defense because Bijan Robinson, he is a beast.
Wheel route, swing routes out of the backfield. This Bijan Robinson kid is special. Kyle talked about him on his draft show a couple of years ago. I'm like, another Texas guy. This guy is fantastic. Make sure you tackle him.
Yeah, you can try to tackle him, but the reality is this dude is an all-for-one special. And he is one of the few complete running backs in this league. Not only his size, not only his ability to catch the ball, but his physicality. He's a complete package, and he proves that with his game. 5 out of his 8 games this year, he has over 100 scrimmage yards. The last 3 games, this dude has 100 scrimmage yards plus a touchdown in each one of these games. So he's somebody that you better have your eye on. But even when he goes out the game, you can't have a sigh of relief because Algier or whatever, I can't pronounce his name, he's an absolute dog as well. He'll run straight through your muffin cap.
Yes, he will. The bowling ball. He's the power to the speed. Oh, by the way, they also have these guys, too. Greg London, Darnell Mooney, and Kyle Pitts. Atlanta, one of just 2 teams in the NFL with 5 players over 200 receiving yards. Barry, what does that present to a defense when you have so many guys to try and figure out?
I just got nightmares thinking about trying to cover these guys. I mean, when you look at it, to me, Kirk Cousins does a great job of just feeding all of these guys and making sure they're all able to get the ball during this situation. And like I said a little bit earlier, defenders, when they go out there, there's not one guy you can key on because all of these guys can hurt your defense as a whole, and they have a quarterback that's able to get them the football. So to me, this is going to be a very, very tough task for this defense overall. You better be able to get pressure on Kirk Cousins, or it can be a long afternoon for the Dallas Cowboys defense.
Yeah, whenever I said that stat about the 200 receiving yards, Barry goes, oh
my goodness, chill.
Halloween's over, Barry.
It is.
When we come back, the Cowboys are going to have to put pressure on Kirk Cousins. I mentioned that to Nick Eatman a moment ago. Chauncey Golston is a big part of that. Without Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, and company in the fold, can Golston find some pressure? We catch up with the Cowboys edge rusher next.
To watch more Dallas Cowboys content on your connected TV, download the Cowboys Now app on Amazon Fire, Roku, and Apple TV.
What are your thoughts on the Falcons secondary? A lot of big names with Jesse Bates, Justin Simmons, A.J. Terrell.
Boy's nice. They got a young group back there, and Jesse Bates is playing his best ball, obviously. Being in the same class as A.J. Terrell, very familiar with him. He's a hell of a corner, very tall, lengthy, got ball skills, very aggressive. And then I think they got Justin Simmons over there, too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
He's a ball hawk himself, so we got our hands full, but I'm sure we can handle it.
How much is tempo, or how much can tempo help the offense, and instead of waiting till 2-minute drills and maybe bringing some of that earlier in the game?
A lot. Wear and tear on the defense. Obviously, they're not going to be able to get their calls in fast enough and be able to adjust if we're going fast enough. So with that, I feel like we can incorporate that in our offense and keep them boys on them hills.
Welcome back into Cowboys Pregame Live. I'm Kyle Yeomans, now joined by Nicole Hutchison, who had the opportunity to sit down with Chauncey Golston earlier in the week. And if the Cowboys are going to find pressure on Kirk Cousins, he's a big part of that.
Man, and the ways to get pressure is that from the interior offensive line, attacking that interior offensive line for the Falcons. And Chauncey Golston actually told me he loves to rush from the inside. Something else that he also loves to do is actually try to establish the hard load that he has, right? A lot has been asked of him without Micah Parsons, without DeMarcus Lawrence, without Sam Williams at the start of the season. But he's learned to embrace that challenge.
It's kind of different when you have like a Micah Parsons who can get to the quarterback in half a second. Like that, just it's like having a cheat code out there. Yeah. And then having DeMarcus Lawrence who just has a different feel for the game. So I think it's more so of like a learning curve because we have like more like inexperienced guys that are out there. So like we're like learning on the fly. Yeah. But that's not an excuse, you know, you like, you do what you got to do because you're blessed to be in this opportunity. So.
How challenging is it? I mean, you kind of touched on it a little bit with having new faces, not getting here until halfway through training camp, and now having to work on that cohesiveness as a defensive line. How challenging has it been also having to learn on the fly as the weeks go on? Yeah,
you don't have those unspoken like mannerisms or like that unspoken connection that like you would have with like a Micah or a D-Law, and like they don't have that with like the interior guys like Osa, like to be able to like, oh, okay, I see like in this situation, I know what Osa likes to do, so I'm gonna work off of him. They don't have that, so it's like we got two strangers at the bar, right? You know?
I got you.
So like as time is going on and like we're getting more practices, like we're starting to gel together, so it's getting nice.
What opportunities do you feel like you guys have going up against this Atlanta Falcons offensive line? Because their tackles do give up a few pressures. You look at Jake Matthews, Caleb McGay. They kind of leave, something I've noticed on film is that they leave their tackles singled up most of the time. So what kind of opportunities do you feel like you guys have?
So yeah, I think we have a big opportunity this week with like not only the tackles, but we have more of a stationary quarterback. Yeah. So that kind of helps like with the whole pressure situation. Like if you can get him off, if you can get Kirk off his timing, then that'll really help. And you know, if us as a unit, we're like pushing the pocket and getting like the linemen around Kirk's feet, then you know we can have a lot of success this game.
And talk about the quarterback and Kirk Cousins, but also their running backs. Man, Bijan Robinson, he's dynamic. They line him up in the slot. He can come out of the backfield as well as a receiver. So as a defensive end, what are some ways to attack that?
First of all, like you can't play the whole peekaboo guessing, like jumping out of gaps thing with him. You got like he can cut with the best of them. So you have to let him almost like make it all the way through the gap before you decide that you're going to take it to there, because if you do it too early, it's good night, Irene.
Chauncey Golston, a huge piece of Mike Zimmer's defense as he looks to take down his former quarterback that he spent so much time with in his time as a head coach with the Minnesota Vikings. We talk the defensive side of the football when we come back.
Yeah, great matchup this week. I'm excited for it. I have yet to play in Atlanta in my NFL career, so I'm excited about that one. I know some guys on that team, so it'll be a good one. And every week it's going to be a battle.
Obviously, it was a tough loss against the 49ers, but it seemed like the offense started clicking a lot in that fourth quarter. How do you build off that going into this game?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a lot we can clean up. I know for a fact there's a lot I can clean up. And, you know, that just comes down to preparation and the whole week, whether it be in meetings on the field, whether it's, you know, weight room, anything, eating the right food. Just got to prep, and then when it comes Sunday, you just got to execute on it.
You guys take the ball a lot to start the game. You know, obviously the idea to go out there and just get a fast start hasn't really happened with a touchdown this year. Can you just talk about why you think there's been some slow starts to start the game?
Yeah, I think, you know, it's hard to obviously push the ball down when you're shooting yourself in the foot, or, you know, you're not executing as well as you'd hoped. And, you know, that just gets down to executing. That gets down to working those opening plays that you've worked on all week and executing and making sure you're clean on it. And so when you do get in on Sunday, there isn't any question on those first 20. You know, it should just be rolling, and just got to make sure that we start that now and not have any questions when we come in, you know, Saturday, Sunday, and yeah, just execute that first drive.
Jake, how much are you itching to get in the end zone?
Yeah, definitely. I don't care about that. I just want to win.
Cowboys Pregame Live was brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys, and by SWBC Mortgage. Join the more than 120,000 customers that we've helped to find their happier way home. Visit swbcmortgage.com to find a pro today.
Welcome back to the Star in Frisco alongside Isaiah Stanback. I'm Kyle Yeomans, wrapping up the TV portion of Cowboys Pregame Live. Be sure to join us on DallasCowboys.com and the Cowboys streaming platforms right now if you want to continue the rest of the show. Before we go, though, we've got some fan involvement. A fan question from Bryson. Take it away.
Hey, guys. I was wondering, do y'all think Mike Zimmer has an advantage going against his former QB, Kirk Cousins?
Fantastic question, Bryson. And, of course, Kirk Cousins was with Mike Zimmer, had some success out there in Minnesota. Zimmer, more so on the defensive side of things, will have an opportunity now to scheme up against his former quarterback. Does that give Zimmer an advantage or disadvantage overall?
I would say it gave him an advantage if he had all his dogs, and he doesn't have his guys up front. So not creating any kind of pressure on Kirk Cousins is not the situation you want to be in, especially when he has a running game, especially when you can do play action with Pitts and London and Mooney. It's just not what you want. So I'm not sure that it gives him an advantage without all of his resources at his disposal.
Yeah, that's the thing is he had some guys out in Minnesota. Yes, he had Justin Jefferson and company. Not the case this time around, though, because he's got more weapons spread out. Maybe not the high-end guys, but he has those weapons.
Oh, he has some guys spread out. Yeah, he got some guys spread out. So, I mean, Kyle Pitts is definitely going to create an issue because the one way which you can create some issues for a quarterback is by rolling that safety down into the box. You can't really do that when you have somebody that can run by all your safeties. Also, when you have Drake London and weapons on the outside that are speed guys, you really can't fully commit to anything. So in terms of Coach Zimmer, his challenge is what are you going to try to take away, right? If you're going to play two guys back and try to guard on the pass, or you're going to try to put somebody in the box and try to take away the run. You're in a deal, and that is a pickle.
You got one way or the other that you've got to make it happen.
Yeah.
Overall, if you're Mike Zimmer on the defensive side, lots of pressure there. But we've got plenty more coverage coming your way on DallasCowboys.com. We say so long to the TX821 crew. We'll be right back in a couple of moments. Continue with us. Cowboys Pregame Live. Cowboys Falcons at noon on Fox.
We just, as a unit, we just got to keep trying to find ourselves. I feel like we're real close. We just got to keep stacking these days up, man. Don't let the losses get too hard on us. We just got to go back to work, man. And I think the more as we find ourselves as an offense, the opportunities, for each guy on the offense will increase.
Does it surprise you, considering what you have in the room and who you have on the line, that you guys haven't been able to get it going the way you want to?
Yeah, and that's just how some of the games been going for us. Like I said, we work our tails off. Like, we work hard this year. And, it's just some games been getting out of hand for us. And, we ain't really had the backs to the plate to, show what this running back room could do. Like, we got some special talents in the room. We just got to keep getting more opportunities to show, that we do got a good group out here in Dallas.
What do you feel like the coaching staff wants to see you show to give you the lion's share of the reps?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm going to keep working. I'm a firm believer, the man above. I keep my faith. And I just got to keep working, man. Keep working my tail off in practice and finishing runs, just getting the reps, mentally. And, once I keep working, things going to fall into place, man. It's a long year still, so, still a lot of things we could accomplish.
Don't you just love the magic of TV? This is the real Cowboys pregame live
100%.
crew. At the TV side of things, we love our friends over at TXA21, but we know if you're watching on the streaming service, you're a real one. And we throw out the TV notes whenever you guys come around.
Toss it up, baby.
Toss it up, baby. This is when it gets real. Back with Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Glad you're with us. Cowboys Falcons coming up at noon on Fox. And Barry, we just finished talking about the really what Mike Zimmer needs to do to find some pressure overall.
Yes.
Atlanta also needs to find some pressure as well. This is a team that is bottom in the league in terms of pressure percentage. Is that a huge advantage? I feel like that's what Dak Prescott's been waiting for on the offensive side.
Look, this offense has got to be able to take advantage of not being able to rush the passer from the Atlanta side. You've got to be able to play as a unit offensively and protect Dak Prescott. Not only that, hopefully what this brings also with a weak front seven for the Atlanta Falcons is a running game that Dallas has been desperate to get. You've got to get that balance back offensively. But at this point in time in the National Football League and during their season, I don't care how you go out there and score points. Run the ball, throw the ball 60 times, it does not matter. Go out there and protect your quarterback and take advantage of a weak front seven for the Atlanta Falcons.
But don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype. Grady Jarrett is a dude. Matthew Judon is a sleeping giant that just hasn't figured it out in his new town. You remember he was an absolute goon when he was playing for the New England Patriots. It's the reason why the Atlanta Falcons went out and traded for him so that he can be that dynamic pass rusher. He's sleeping right now, but if you poke the bear long enough, he's going to wake up. Make sure it doesn't happen against you.
You bring up a great point. This is an offensive line that has not been perfect this year, that has not been able to piece things together. So when you see that on the opposite side, you might say, finally, a resting point. You can't have that offensive mindset, right, Nate? I mean, you've played against teams that had bad pressure percentages before. You can't think that way if you're the Cowboys offensive front.
What you have to understand is the Cowboys have to understand their weakness right now, and it's not unity within that offensive line. They have no bond. So what Coach McCarthy has to do is come out and try to play situational football. If it's 1st and 10, let's look more for the run. If it's a 2nd and forever, now you look more for the pass. But you have to have these guys building a wall at all times across their offensive front.
Okay, and the other thing about it is third downs. Those late down scenarios, they're not very good in terms of the third down conversion rate. How big of an importance is it for Dallas to succeed in 3rd and 4th down in a game like this?
It's huge. I mean, you have to take care of business. It's a matter of offensively staying on the field and then defensively getting off the field. 3rd down is really what changes the game. Most teams don't have the opportunity to take big shots on 1st and 2nd, so those 3rd down situations are dynamic and they're huge important.
Yeah, you've got to win the money down offensively. Not only to sustain a drive and keep the guys off or keep going to try to score a touchdown, but it keeps your defense on the sidelines and lets them rest so they don't have to come right back out there to face against this super powerful Atlanta Falcons offense.
If you hit 1 or 2 third downs early in the game, it gives you all the confidence in the world, especially with the offensive line. And what we need right now is for that offensive line to have confidence. So they got to do the money downs.
Let me ask you this question, just overarching in terms of the offensive side of the football and really what they've shown, no matter who the defense is. Where would you, 1 to 10, what would you rank your confidence level that they have any level of success against Atlanta and this defense today?
I give it 70%.
Okay,
that's
pretty high.
That's pretty high. Reason being, this Atlanta's secondary is not what you would think it would be. These guys have the personnel. They have ball hawks on that side of the ball. Okay, they can go out there and they got Bates. All right, they have what's the safety? Can't remember. Just blanked out.
Simmons.
Justin Simmons. All right, these guys have ball hawks in the secondary. But they play off and soft defense. So they're going to give you free releases. They're going to give you the ability to run your entire route without being impeded. You just got to make sure that you put the ball accurately because they will make you pay if you decide to put it in the wrong spot.
Yeah, I'm up there as well. I give it an 8 out of 10. I think this offense is going to perform pretty well. You just named it. They like to play off coverage. So what does that do? Also, they can't get a rush on your quarterback.
Right.
But when you play off coverage, that allows you to get your playmakers the ball in space. And that's what we've been missing from a CeeDee Lamb, from a Turpin, from those guys that when you get the ball in their hands, they have to be able to get the yak after the catch. So in my opinion, I think this offense isn't ready for a big-time performance this week.
This is the medicine you've been waiting for. This is the drugstore game, bro. You can get 139 yards rushing. They almost close to 40% on 3rd down. All you got to do is take care of the red zone. This is your game, baby. Let's play.
I like it.
I like the
drugstore. It's starting to grow. It's starting to rise. Here's the thing, though, and this is where I give pause in terms of the Atlanta defense. You've seen it on film. You've seen the analytics. You've seen all of these different elements all the way through. they're seeing the exact same thing in their own defense. And they're seeing the exact same thing in what they bring to the table. And they're saying, hey, we've been playing off coverage and not getting pressure. We've been playing the too high safety shell and still not having success. So what doesn't say they don't change it and say this is the medicine game for the Atlanta defense?
Yeah,
the same thing can be said.
You're absolutely correct. And I'm going to toss this one to Barry because I know if I was Barry and I was a safety on this team, if I was Justin Simmons, I'm going to say, hey, fellas, go up there and press on these cats because if you can go out there and get some pressure up front in terms of the receivers not getting off the ball, you give our defensive line more time to go ahead and get after the quarterback. And when Dak gets pressure, he likes to put it up. That means I get more opportunities at interceptions.
Yeah, you got to do that as a defense and as a secondary. You got to give time for your defensive line to get after the quarterback, and that means pressing your guys up on the outside. You got to believe that A.J. Terrell can go up there and press against a C.D. Lamb. You got to believe that your other cornerbacks can handle the second and third option for the Dallas Cowboys. The one thing that the Dallas Cowboys may be able to take advantage of is that tight end Ferguson. He may be able to work in the middle of the field against those linebackers for the Atlanta Falcons, but you got to press up against these guys and get your defensive line an extra time. I just hope it doesn't happen this week.
I have one thing that does give me a little bit of extra help in terms of this offense. And let me just show you right here. That says 88. That's C.D. Lamb. That's the one thing I have a little bit of confidence with whenever it comes to this offense because they're starting to feed him the rock. 31 targets over the last 2 games. That's the most since targets were even given in an analytical standpoint to these wide receivers. So with this offense struggling the way that they have, they've taken a step back and they've said, we need to feed C.D. Lamb the football. Can he be enough to try and take down this offense pretty much as the sole pass catcher and overall target in this wide receiver room?
I'm going to say no. He's not enough. I think that he will be highly successful. I do think that he'll get over 100 yards. These guys do not, unless they change up their style of defense that they put on film through the first 8 games. He will get free releases. He'll be able to run his routes, but he's got to be patient. They're going to have to keep everything underneath because these guys play a Bill Belichick type defense. That means play far back, let everything happen in front of you, and then play downhill and make sure you secure the tackle. If Dallas can play that type of ball where they're moving the chains and they actually have a running game to complement that, then they're in a good position. But if they get greedy and get impatient and want to take shots over the top like we've seen, there's going to be some more interceptions in the red zone between Dak and CD.
Yeah, CD Lamb, he's going to go off in this game. He's going to get his. He may go for $150. But if you can't win a shootout, in my opinion, in this game, you've got to have that balanced attack. You've got to make sure your defense is sitting on the sidelines. You can't go score for score with Atlanta like that because eventually time will run out on the Dallas Cowboys. So I feel like the CD Lamb, he's going to go off, but you got to incorporate some type of balance and get that time of possession in order to save your own defense.
Dink and dunk. Put CD Lamb wherever you need to put him at the running back, slot, out wide, but dink and dunk. And then when you get down in there, you got to score touchdowns because I believe you can't win with a shootout either.
That's a big one right there. You can't just have the drive. You've got to finish these drives. And especially when you get into the red zone, it's been dicey for the Cowboys this year. Let's go back out to Mercedes-Benz Stadium where our very own Nick Eatman is now joined by Cowboys COO Stephen Jones.
Thank you, Kyle. And we are joined by Stephen Jones, Cowboys Chief Operating Officer here as the Cowboys get ready to take on the Falcons. I know you're excited about this game and kind of getting back, trying to snap this losing streak that the Cowboys have. What are you excited about facing the Falcons here today?
Well, let's just get back on the field. Obviously, a tough run there between, the Detroit game and, struggling up there against the 49ers. Had a chance. I love the way we battled, but the biggest thing is just get back on the field. I like, where our guys' heads at in terms of, them wanting to get back out here as well and compete and, feel like we'll come out here and play really well. The other thing is situation going our way, we were a little concerned we might not have Diggs.
Yeah.
Of course, he made a big turnaround, and he'll be out there playing as well. And to get Carson back, that's a big lift. And then after this week, we should be getting more. So, I feel good about where we are.
There's some surprising news on Saturday with Ezekiel Elliott not being here and the decision to make him inactive. Can you share anything about that, where you guys are with Zeke?
No, it's just an internal deal, discipline-wise, with the organization. And certainly everybody knows how much respect we have for Zeke and the competitor he is. But, especially, in these having a few rocky times, you need your senior group to do things the right way. And, Zeke's been great at that all his career, but this was a situation Mike felt like it was necessary.
And speaking of the running back position, just talk about your confidence in Dalvin Cook coming up, obviously with Rico Dowdle and just whoever is going to be there running the ball today.
Yeah, well, everybody's seen Rico when given the opportunity. He's running at a very respectable level. I think averaging over 4 yards a carry. Good to get him back out after he had a little bout last week with fever. But and then, of course, getting Dalvin another opportunity. He got his feet wet last week. Right. And so we feel good about our backs, and we just got to go out there and execute in the running game.
I know the goal is to win every game, and so last week that wasn't, the standard is to go win the game. But is there anything you can take from a fourth quarter from CD and Dak? It looked like kind of finding a groove a little bit that you can carry over to this game.
Yeah, I think anytime, you want to see that in a football team, and especially after came off a tough loss against Detroit, you can see see it going the other way. But our guys stepped up, battled. Defensive guys made some stops to give us an opportunity there after the offense had moved the ball and, tightened the lead the 49ers had. And then, we gave ourselves an opportunity to win the game. We just didn't finish.
Last question here. Speaking of the Falcons, Kirk Cousins, you've seen him a lot. This is the first time you faced him at Atlanta. What do you expect about this Falcons team, Kirk Cousins, and just playing here? It looks like it's going to be a good atmosphere.
Well, Kirk Cousins is a pro. I mean, everywhere he's been, he does it. He executes at high levels. He's always seems to be a part of winning football teams, and you got to give him credit. And certainly we'll have our hands full. He's got some great weapons out there in London and Pitts, and of course a homegrown guy there in Bijan that we have so much respect for. But they've got a really solid football team. We'll have our work cut out for us, but I know our guys are ready to go out there and welcome the challenge.
All right, it's going to be a challenge. Thank you so much. Stephen Jones, Cowboys Chief Operating Officer. Kyle, we'll throw it back to you.
And you heard it there from Stephen Jones. This is going to be a challenge. Of course,
yes, it is.
First of 4 straight games against the team that's either in first place or second place in their respective divisions. Of course, the Falcons are leading the NFC South. Where are the Cowboys in their division? That's what I'm not going to bring up
don't do that.
it comes to the NFC East. Now, let's take a look at our standings, since we're talking standings. This is not going well. And call your shot, our weekly bold prediction segment. We got Barry on top, followed by Nate. Isaiah found his way to a point last week as he continues his roller coaster. And then for the first time this year, I am all the way down.
Let's go.
I'm taking some shots. I had 6 points. I had 6 points 3 weeks ago, and that has all come to a close. Here's the call your shot rules. We've got our bank of points. You just saw it in terms of how many points you can wager. We're wagering with the amount of points that we have, and it's a bold prediction. Since Barry's leading the way, we're going to let Barry start things off this week.
Look,
what you got?
If you guys need a loan or anything, just
holler at your boy. A point or two.
Just holler at your boy. But for this week, I'm wagering 1 point. 1 point on this Dallas defense to be able to take the football away from Kirk Cousins at least twice. They're going to have to create some short fields for their offense in order for their offense to be productive out here. Today is the day I believe this is going to happen. Give me a pick, give me a forced fumble, something out there, but they're going to create 2 turnovers for the Dallas Cowboys defense.
The Cowboys have to start running the ball. And they're going to have to, it would average of 21 times a game. So I got bold and said I'm going to go 3 more. That didn't even sound right. That was weak.
No,
24 carries or more for 1 point. That was pretty weak, but hey.
That is.
Oh,
and we just need points at this time. I mean, we're all
man. Hey, listen up, y'all. The Dallas Cowboys secondary have shown a kink in their armor. And because they've shown a kink in their armor, especially at the safety position, I believe that Kyle Pitts is going to go up there for at least 75 yards. It's not what you guys want to hear, but I'm just telling you what you're probably going to see.
We've come to that point. He's starting to flip it to the other side. He's starting to go to the opponents. I'm going to finish, and it's going to be kind of like what Barry just said. You said 2 turnovers. I'm going to get even more bold than that. I'm going to go a little more specific. Kirk Cousins specifically has 2 turnovers in the game. That could be a fumble. It could be an interception. I don't care what it is, but it's going to be Kirk Cousins that gives it up a couple different times. That's my prediction.
We're on the same team.
I've got 0 points, so it hasn't been working for me lately. I got to get back on the board with 1 point this week. All right, keys to the game. How do the Cowboys get back to 500 today?
You got to get that balance back offensively, all right? You got to make sure you protect Dak Prescott out there, but more importantly, you got to run the football like Nate Newton says and have that balanced attack.
You can't turn the ball over. You just can't turn the ball over. This is not something that you can do against this team. We talked about not having a shootout. The Dallas Cowboys can afford no turnovers, and they need to create some turnovers like both of these guys said.
We talked about the whole show. Pick your spots to blitz this guy. Pick your spots to hit the quarterback. And when you do, you got to put him on the ground and keep him off his spot. That's the only chance we got. Kid got too many weapons. We got to keep him on his back.
They have a ton of weapons. They're trying to figure out their defensive side of the football. This is going to be a fun matchup, but if it's going to be anything like the 40-plus point outings that Dallas has had in each of their last 2 meetings with the Atlanta Falcons, I think, again, it's going to be a tough matchup out at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. That does it for us for Cowboys Pregame Live. Hope you had fun with us. We'll be back with Cowboys OT, Cowboys Game Night in the First Word, presented by Dr. Pepper after the game comes to a close. Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback, Nate Deaton, Nicole Hutchison, and Nick Eatman. I'm Kyle Yeoman saying so long from Cowboys Pregame Live. We'll see you after the game.